We're going to run out of time, but before you go, I have a question for you, talking about giveaways. Here in New York City, a place where you also used to live and used to run Robin Hood, a great charity that's done enormous things for this city. Yeah. What you think of the race for mayor here between Mamdani now and Eric Adams? I think those are really, realistically, the only two choices on the table.
Yeah. You know, it's fascinating because I have not followed the race as closely or the policy as closely.
However, I love you and I don't believe you.
No, and it's true. I really haven't. But the thing that I have followed is the narrative, because I think the narrative around affordability is right. And I think that, honestly, it's the same thing we pushed in Maryland, where the way we approach it is I focus on pathways to work, wages, and wealth. Right. And doing things like decreasing the unemployment rate, increasing the minimum wage in the state of Maryland, and creating more housing inventory.
Okay, but that's where I was going to go with it. So the distinction, though, between what you're talking about, I think we're all in agreement there's an affordability problem in the city of New York. We can diagnose the problem. Yeah. The question is, what is the solution to that? Yeah. I would argue if you want to have lower rent, ultimately you need a lot more housing. You need a lot more supply.
That's exactly right.
You need the inventory.
That's exactly right.
It's not going to necessarily come, I don't think, from freezing rent. Yeah. I mean, I think we've seen that story happen. And that goes to the Mamdani question of whether you think he's the right person for that job. Yeah. Right? And then on the other side, you have Eric Adams, who arguably, by the way, I think is actually the city has done it. If you just look at the city numbers are pretty good. Yeah. And yet then there's a situation where I think there's a lot of New Yorkers who say the man, for better or worse, or not for worse, is being held hostage by the White House, given this sort of unique, weird settlement situation. And what do you do about that?
Yeah, I think the way you increase affordability is you have to increase inventory. It's the reason that in Maryland we passed the most aggressive housing package in Maryland state history of any governor in Maryland state history. It's the reason that we have used executive action to be able to make sure that we can go faster. That I said, I want our state. We've got to stop being a state and a collection that that does no and slow, right, and get to yes and now. Build faster. Create great emergencies of inventory, because this is a basic supply and demand equation that I think we completely miss on, and so capping.
Okay, so given that, if you were living here, who do you pick?
God, I don't live here. I don't know. You know what I
got to try, man.
If I was living here, you know what I'd pick? I'd say move to Maryland.
Exactly.